What's up, YouTube family? I've got some of my tomatoes and peppers that I'm gonna go ahead and get in ground tonight, this evening. But I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison with, well, I want to see, kind of test the efficacy of mycorrhizal inoculants. Now, I could have done that back here with these brassicas, but brassicas don't have any mycorrhizal association, so that would have been the ultimate exercise in futility. But tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, all those things do supposedly have mycorrhizal associations. So I've got two purple Cherokees, my favorite tomato ever. I'm going to inoculate one, and night times get up to 80 degrees, which they often do here, and they probably will pretty soon. But if I can keep a little bit of the stress off, keep them well watered, I fully expect them to still set fruit a little bit later into the season, maybe probably June, July, maybe not August. August is a rough month. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get these guys inoculated and put in ground. Like I said, I'll bury them deep. All right, so real quick, I want to talk about why I'm not a big fan of using wood chips in the garden. These chips were added last spring and they still have not broken down. That can and probably will cause some problems. And it's, quite frankly, it's annoying. I actually didn't plant these from seed, obviously. You can see that these were purchased. A good friend of mine, Angela, actually gave me these when I told her that I hadn't even started any of my favorite tomatoes. So when she brought me my persimmon tree, she brought me these as well. So thank you very much, Angela. These guys are a little bit root bound. Not a problem. We're just gonna tease those out just a little bit. Just rough them up, they'll be fine. And we're gonna dig this hole quite a bit deeper. I just wanted to get some of those wood chips out of there. Now you could definitely dig a trench and lay this in sideways like this. However, if I were going to do that, if I had made plans to do that, I would have laid these out here sideways like this. That way the phototropism would teach the plant to grow up like this. That way the stem would remain horizontal, but the plant itself would turn vertical and start growing that way. Now, I'm not talking about this brand in particular. I'm talking about mycorrhizal inoculants, period. I want to see if they're effective at all. So now we have plenty on the root zone and in the hole. I want to go a little bit deeper if I can without hitting too many rocks. Oh, yep, that's a rock. That's a good size rock too. All right, so now we're deep. As you can see, that will give me my soil line up to about there, which is exactly what I was looking for. And I'm also going to add a little bit of garden tone. This is a 344, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. You don't want a lot of nitrogen when you're planting fruiting plants. It's going to give you a lot of vegetative growth without any fruit, and especially considering I'm getting a pretty late start here. I am generally a little bit more of a gambling man when it comes to planting my long season annuals those peppers, eggplants. But I've just been extremely busy, and let's go ahead and take this guy back out because we don't want fertilizer sitting right on the root zone. And I've got to, just so it's fair, I went ahead and brought out a little measuring spoon. This is a teaspoon. I'm gonna put probably 2 teaspoons in that hole right there. Boom. Now I'm gonna mix that around. That way it's not in direct contact. Even though, I mean, this is organic, so I mean, it's not going to cause a problem if it were to be in direct contact. I just don't want the roots just to stay in one spot. I want them to kind of spread out and search for water and minerals and nutrients. All right, I'm gonna have to dig out a few more of these rocks because I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit more of the mycorrhizal inoculant in there. Got a little bit on my hand. Now, mycorrhiza helps with the or is said to help with the transportation of nutrients and water, primarily phosphorus, which makes sense because phosphorus is highly immobile in soil. So it kind of makes sense that the hyphae would help transport those type of nutrients to a plant that can't really, you know, the roots aren't going to do well as far as getting more of those nutrients to the plant, right? So does that make any sense? Does that make... Anyway, what I'm getting is that, yeah, so mycorrhiza is going to help transport nutrients that aren't as mobile. And I'll put the next one right here, about 18 inches from this guy, and it will not get the mycorrhizal inoculant. I may also, I think I'll go ahead and do some eggplant as well. Or I'll do a side-by-side comparison with the eggplant as well. But they're not quite as evenly grown out, I guess is the word I'm looking for, or what I'm getting at. So I'm gonna go about, this is about 16 inches here. This soil does look a little bit better, although there is still that problem with the wood chips that have not broken down, and they got dug in because I kind of found myself in a fit of rage when I realized that the tarping didn't work last year because I waited too long to tarp. So anyway, I'm gonna go and dig us a hole. Hope you guys can see that. Yeah, all right. Okay. The reason you don't want wood chips in your soil is because it binds nitrogen. It will take nitrogen from soil, basically like a compost pile. It turns, you know, you have to have the nitrogen. The nitrogen ends up bound in the bodies of the organisms that are breaking down the carbon, which is the wood chips, and it's not available to your plants until that carbon is broken down completely. And it becomes a bit of a problem. So, do not incorporate chippy compost or wood chips into your soil because you won't be growing much. All right. So, all I'm gonna do here, as soon as I find my little measuring spoon. Where did my measuring spoon go? thumb a measuring spoon, same 2 teaspoons, and all right. Now, once again, just gonna mix that around. All right, and this has got the same treatment as this tomato. It was pruned up to this set of leaves last night just to give these guys a little bit of time to heal. Alternatively, and I know people think that having leggy tomatoes is a bad thing, but if you start out with a leggy tomato, then you end up with more internodal distance, and you don't have to make so many cuts. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion, to have slightly leggy tomatoes in the beginning, and then give them some good sunlight. You know, let them get, you know, a couple of inches, and then you can transplant them and not necessarily have to come in and cut so many leaves off. That's just my personal opinion. I know somebody's probably gonna have something to say about it, and that's fine. But this is just my experience, guys. I've been doing this for a long time. Also, I like to keep my seedlings as dry as possible when I'm transplanting. That way, when I do give them a little bit of water, they tend to want to run to that moisture, and then, you know, it spreads out the roots really quickly, and you end up with a much more resilient plant. So that has always done well for me. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and water these guys in just with a little water breaker. These water breakers actually, wow. I think I just got my fertilizer all wet. Fantastic. So now we wait a bit. It's absolutely amazing how quick they'll grow. As you can see, my brassicas, well, all this is edible, and the flowers and the leaves, it's all edible. It's just not necessarily what we're going for. I don't necessarily remember. I thought I planted purple sprouting broccoli. Oh, I seem to have, oh yeah. You guys want to see what an aphid infestation looks like? There it is. Those guys are hell. Ladybugs and other beneficials will be along shortly to take care of them. Oh wow, those are nice. Those are really nice. They're very spread out, as you can see, because I direct sow my lettuces for the most part. It's not really required parts, and quite frankly, I find that it's a little more problematic. And you know, I don't really have space to start this many seedlings, you know, indoors. I don't have a greenhouse, so you know, I just would rather come out and indirect sow things. These giant mustards are looking pretty good. I definitely need to get out here and harvest some stuff. But anyway, that's just quick, you know, tomato planting. See how wet my fertilizer got. All right, I think I'm okay there. It's not, shouldn't spoil. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. I've got a lot of stuff to get done. There's a lot going on back here, As you can see, the weeds are ridiculous. A crackhead stole my lawnmower. Still up in the air whether that crackhead is related to me, but we shall see. Um, but I am going probably next week. I'm gonna give me a new weed eater and a new lawnmower so I can keep up with the backyard, and maybe my neighbors won't be so upset with me because it looks like hell back here. Uh, Peach tree was in full bloom last week. The plum was in full bloom. It's already set some fruit. I have to buy a new sprayer because my sprayer is broke, and I need to get some copper and sulfur sprayed on those guys to kind of beat back the disease. And I need to get that guy cut out. Anyway, so appreciate you guys watching. Peace.